This is the tweet right here.
Garland.
Hey y'all, hey, welcome to Tootie Talk Sense. We're about to get started up in there.
Scroll in the tube, found a star in the chaos. Duty spitting facts like a modern day seance. Trending waves, politics in the spotlight. Raw with the wit, hits you sharp like a frostbite. Come on y'all, let's discuss her anthem, her creed. Breaking down the drama, uncovering the greed. Laugh through the truth, it's enlightenment with flair. Tootie Talk Sense, ain't no nonsense over there. Come on, we tuned into Tootie's vibe. High energy keeps the convo alive. From scandals to news, she hit it all bright. Tootie taking the mic like she owns the fight. Attention, detention, the trends are her prey. Mixed.
Happy Wednesday. Happy Wednesday. What day is it? It's hump day. Oh, thank God. We halfway through the week, y'all. There's so much, and I think it's been maybe a week since I haven't been on here. There's so much stuff that didn't happen in that doggone week. Every day it is something, okay? Today we're going to talk about the ICE agents that are the new. Okay, you can hear me. Let me cut this down. That the ICE agents are the new DEI hires from the party who wanted to get rid of DEI hiring. Now has DEI hires as ICE agent because DEI really stood for qualified candidates. Right now, what is happening with ICE, they're not able to pass the civic test or the physics test. So the standards have been lowered to include, which is inclusion, to include these people who typically would not be able to be ICE agents. But I guess they low on staff, y'all. So now they the new DEI hire. So we're going to talk about that. And we're going to talk about a recent story that I read in the Chicago Tribune where 2 kids was left stranded on the side of the expressway in the car. I don't know if it was the expressway, but they was left stranded in the street in the car because ICE put them over, arrested their parents. And they gave the 12-year-old the key to the car. And it was the 10-year-old birthday. They had 2 kids in there. I want to say they was 10 and 12. But I'm going to read the story in case I got the ages wrong. But they arrested their parents, gave the 12-year-old the keys to the car, and left them and took their parents. So we're going to get into that story, y'all. So, come on, y'all. Let's discuss this ratchetness that is going on nowadays. So first, let's talk about these new DEI hires, y'all. I'm gonna show y'all the video of that. I'm gonna show y'all the video of the news story about the ICE agents and the standards that's being lowered for them.
Welcome back now to an NBC News exclusive and new questions about carrying out the Trump administration's immigration crackdown. 1 current and 2 former Homeland Security officials tell NBC News that some new ICE recruits have showed up to training without being fully vetted. Officials telling NBC News the recruits were placed in ICE's training program before the agency determined that they had either failed drug tests, had disqualifying criminal backgrounds, or had not met the or academic requirements to serve.
Wait, not failed drug tests. I thought y'all over there blowing up. The ICE agents probably the one mad now finna rethink this whole they blowing up these boats up in the middle of the river things. Y'all probably mad. Them people probably owed y'all or something, sold y'all bad rock or something. Because how's y'all blowing up these? That's your dealer right there. Like how you blowing? I know y'all mad at it. Maybe it's an undercover operation. They finna try to work for ICE so they can tell the people like, hey, they finna shoot you, but throw the stuff in the river. I'ma go get it. Like maybe they finna infiltrate ICE so they can work with the drug dealers. They can't pass a drug test. They can't pass an IQ test. I don't even know if they could pass a driving test. The way they over here crashing out here in the Chi, almost every day you see that the ICE agent crash into something, baby. And then driving, automatically like which one is ICE. I said that is ICE. Y'all need people from Chicago driving in Chicago because y'all over here making me late for work. No. Yeah, this is a serious subject. Let me go ahead and bring it back and take it serious. But yeah, how y'all can't pass a drug test? Y'all can't pass an IQ test. Y'all can't pass the academic test. And obviously you can't pass the driving test because there was a crash just before I got on that I was watching on the news that it was a crash up in Chicago. Do better. Do better. Now this is an unqualified candidate.
Now it comes as the agency rushes to hire officers to carry out President Trump's mass deportation policy. NBC News senior Homeland Security correspondent Julia Ainsley helped break that story. Now, congratulations on the scoop, Julia. Thank you for breaking it here. So just how many ICE agents are we talking about who could fit into this unqualified category?
Well, according to some data that was compiled very recently internally at ICE, there were over 200 recruits who showed up for training that's supposed to be after they've gone through a security vetting, fingerprints, drug test, attested that they can do the physical portion of the training. They've showed up and they haven't been able to meet those requirements. In some cases, I'm told they show up and they volunteer the fact that, no, I never did submit fingerprints, or no, I never did do a drug test. And so trainers are having to pull people off the base there in Georgia and take them out to go get these things done. So the real concern is who might not be admitting that and who might be slipping through the cracks.
So, Julia, why is this happening? Is it because there's a rush to get people through? Is it because they're not being careful enough? What's the best explanation?
When I talk,
or is it because they fired all the qualified people claiming they was DEI hired, and now they don't have the people in the training department to process this stuff to make sure that the background check? Oh, that ain't what she asked? Okay.
To former officials, the way this process used to work in the past, they said it was pretty slow going and really used to drive a lot of people crazy because it up to a year before they were fully vetted and put out into training and then out into the field. Now it can be as short as 2 weeks. Sometimes it's not exactly clear what needs to happen, but they report to a field office.
Everybody who done been for then went through the application process, doggone well take more than 2 weeks for a background check to come back. Like what? I don't know what background check they doing, especially for the federal government, but 2 weeks. Do better.
Office, and if they have no prior law enforcement experience, they're sent to this training. But before they even go to that field office, they're supposed to come in with HR having checked all these boxes. In a lot of cases, that's just not happening. Part of it is I've told the HR office just hasn't gotten the resources that they need to be able to match.
What I said, they don't want to say Doge or the department fire all them federal workers, but that's a federal department and HR don't have the resources that they need. Layman start me reading in between the lines. My interpretation, Doge brought their ass up in here and fired their fucking body. Now we ain't got the staff that we need in order to even hire new people. But that ain't what that lady said.
This huge demand to hire 10,000 new officers by the end. And I'm told, Kristen, they're less than halfway to fulfilling that goal.
Wow. Well, I know you'll continue to stay on top of that. In the meantime, we saw these ICE operations ramp up in New York and Los Angeles. We're watching there.
Yeah, that's right. Obviously, we want more details in Los Angeles. Yeah. There's a man named Richard L.A. on TikTok who has been following ICE officers and their movements around Los Angeles, and he was actually targeted by immigration officers and U.S. Marshals just yesterday in Los Angeles. They boxed in his car, and we understand he started ramming the other vehicles. Then an ICE agent fired a gun. It's not clear if that was a miss or what was the reason for the gun firing. That's the key piece here. But we understand that this man was shot in the elbow. He remains in the hospital in serious condition, and that a bullet ricocheted, hit the hand of a U.S. Marshal, and that he definitely went to the hospital as well, but he is in stable condition.
Wow. Okay.
Yes. So as y'all hearing that story, there was an ICE agent that they was going after a guy who was been recording and posting ICE agent like arresting people. So they went after this guy. Doesn't seem like because he was an immigrant. Seems like it's because he was recording and posting them. So they went after him, and then the ICE agent accidentally ended up shooting the marshal and the guy and they both in the hospital. So yeah, give me 1 minute.
Julia
I have to
Ainsley,
pause
thank
this
you
for
so
another
much for all of your great reporting. As
Thanks,
always,
Kristen.
really a
minute.
fit.
My
We thank
baby,
you for
but I
watching,
got
and
to
remember, stay
look at
updated
this.
on breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or watch live on our YouTube channel.
Before I formed my LLC, I protection. Say hello to
I also
Taylor
want y'all to just run.
Brands. I go to their website.
The CNN did. So I'm gonna let this run and then I'm gonna come back. Because I
When you look
believe
at the
other story
interactions
ties
between
in.
ICE agents and the public, frankly, it's not entirely surprising that that's what's happening as they rush these people through the process of getting certified to be on the streets.
Okay, well, in all honesty, I'm athletically allergic. Could not pass the presidential exam when I was in school, could not do a pull-up for a nanosecond. That said, look, I think this lack of not only the athletic aspect, but also the civics aspect is showing in the interactions we are seeing. There have been at least 170 U.S. citizens that have been detained by ICE. We have seen people get scooped up because they're black in Chicago, U.S. citizen blacks, put into U-Haul trucks, in the back of U-Haul trucks. We have seen teenagers pinned to the ground. We know that there have been more deaths in ICE custody, in the last few months than there were in the last 4 years. So I would hope that even folks who are in favor of deporting everybody, I would hope that there would be some agreement that there needs to be rights, that there needs to be a process, that people need to be allowed to show that they can't just be scooped in that way and have their rights violated. It's just inhumane what we are seeing in the streets of America.
Or at least that the standards shouldn't be lowered just to meet a quota.
Okay, I just have to respond to this. If you are housing or living with some MS-13 or a gang member, it is very possible that you could get swept up in that. That is just a reality.
Listen, the vast majority of the people who have been detained do not have criminal records. 75%.
If you're living with a gang member, you gotta know that's a possibility.
That's not the people that were scooped up in this residential building in the middle of the night. You're just making things up. You're making things up. Most of the people that have been detained do have any criminal records.
And so what she's trying to do, the lady right there in the red, I don't know who she is, but she's trying to do is say, well, if you're living with the gang members, then, you should be detained. But what she's neglecting to say is that in Chicago, there was an entire apartment building that they detained everybody, kids, zip-tied kids and all. They detained everybody in that apartment building. And what I don't understand, I'm like, squatting and everything. Well, I mean, they not passing even the basic little writing test. That's probably what's going on. But I'm like, with other agencies, you see squatting and everything. There's plenty of times they have to serve warrants and go arrest people who lives in an apartment building, but they go in and target that apartment, not the entire apartment building. So that's just a deflection, y'all. But let's continue.
Or ties to gangs.
I'm sure you can find an example or two of this, but we also know the situations for a lot of these 170 Americans. And some of them were just happened to be in the same location as other people who might have been targeted by ICE and were still scooped up.
The teenage black boy I was referring to was in a CVS.
To Anna Navarro's point, that apartment building that they raided a couple of weeks ago that housed, frankly, mostly Americans, they only identified two
See her eyes looking down, looking around, shifting. She trying to think of a comeback. That's how you know when somebody trying to think of a comeback. Like, shit. Okay, got it. Okay. She got that point. What is my next talking point? Because I'm gonna have to deflect. I'm gonna have to do something right now. This ain't working.
Nicaragua members. The rest of the people who were arrested, including American citizens, they're members. So that's also happening.
Okay.
But I was asking you about the standards, because the issue at hand here is that the standards are not being met, and B, in some cases, are being slightly lowered to allow more to get through this process because they have to meet a quota. And when you're talking about law enforcement,
And let me put this out there. That's why I say they are the new DEI hires, because you remember that if I had a black pilot, that I'll be worried whether or not they was, they met the standard. The old DEI, that what people failed to say was they were qualified candidates. There's nobody who's going to be a black pilot who's different and lower the standards. Now you got to take less flying time. You have to have less hours that you only got to pass a sight test. And no, things like that was not done for DEI before that. And that's the way they tried to spin it in the media. Now with ICE agent, that's exactly what is being done.
Is that really what we should be doing?
No, absolutely not. And unfortunately, this is not really an ICE problem. This is a problem across the board. I think as many as 80% of police officers are overweight, and so we've seen standards just decrease across the board. Now, my understanding is that they aren't decreasing the standards. They're just saying that a lot of people are failing, and I think that's okay, right? They have a lot of people who are interested in joining. Not all of them are going to meet the criteria, and that's the reality.
Today I'm going to make a beat. We're going to
have to pause that, fast forward past this.
A lot of people need jobs. A lot of people are failing because we don't teach civic in schools, and that's a problem.
They're offering $50,000 bonus.
A lot of people are taking the job because there's student loan forgiveness. And
which is crazy, because you remember when Biden and VP Harris was trying to pass student loan forgiveness, they said they don't have the money for that. Now all of a sudden they came up with money for student loan forgiveness. Looky there, looky Lou, looky.
I hope they don't lower the standard, because the last I checked, it was the DEI candidates that needed the standard lowered. But now it seems like the people who want to work for ICE might get their standards. Let's just see how this all plays out.
That's not what's happening. They're failing. The system is working. They have fitness standards. They have standards for civics. If you fail the standards, you don't get in. So the story is that you have a system in place designed to weed people out who shouldn't be in, and it's working. That's a good thing.
I will say this. So here's what we know, at least for now. In February, the requirements were this: 32 sit-ups in a minute or less, 22 push-ups in a minute or less, 220-yard sprint, 1.5-mile run. Now, the standard is 15 push-ups as opposed to 22. So it's still 32 sit-ups, 1.5 miles, in slightly less time than before. So there's been a slight adjustment. Who knows why? You need to do 7 fewer push-ups than before, but
so the standards were lowered.
You still have to be an athletic standard.
So they lowered the standard.
Look,
still declining.
I also think, to me, also the civics part is huge, because knowing people's rights in this country is part of what you need to know if you're going to be violent.
I said, but now, do they really need to pass the civic test? Like, if you're getting real due process, they're like, nah. Like, yeah, should you know somebody's rights? If you detaining people, especially American citizens, it's like, should you know the rights before you go on to handcuff people? Should you know what you're doing? Should you know what's legal and what's not legal? Sure. Do you? No. Do they need to in this new administration? Well, if you get rid of due process,
potentially as a law enforcement officer, or at least you have the power to do that.
But there was another claim tucked into that report, which is the people themselves are misrepresenting themselves. Say they're lying. See, that's a decline.
Oh my God, not they're lying. Who would have ever thought it?
Standards too. It's a matter of character. It's a matter of soul craft. So it's not just you got to decline the standards across the board. And too often you want to scapegoat the most vulnerable. It must be the black folk and brown folk responsible for the decline of standards. No, get off the crack pipe. That's not.
He told him, get off the crack pipe. No, Dr. West. Get off the crack pipe.
True at all. What?
He like judgments. I know crackhead when I see a crackhead. Look at you. I smell the crack.
really true is the decline of standards across the board, and people acting as if they're so athletically on the cutting edge, and when it's time to take the test, they can't pass
And
it.
if you lie on your application, perhaps you lie on the job.
Well, just today there was an ICE police officer whose weapon discharged and injured a U.S. and the suspect because they were using the service weapon to bang on the window of a suspect. I mean,
Okay, so this is 2 injuries, including a U.S. Marshal after an ICE agent weapon discharge during a L.A. immigration enforcement. This is the one I was just talking to you about. Investigators believe gunfire erupted after an ICE officer confronted the suspect vehicle and smashed a window with their service weapon. While attempting to grab the suspect, authorities believe that the agent weapon discharge, striking both the suspect and a deputy U.S. Marshal.
I don't know. I mean, these are the types of things that just seem like, is there proper training happening here when it comes to ICE?
There's not. We've all seen it. And there should be.
You definitively state that they're not being properly trained. Do you know that?
Because they're shooting dogs. They're shooting dogs in people's that have been locked in people's bathrooms. They're abandoning small children alone in.
And this is the story that we're going to talk about after this part play. You see how he sat there and said false, because at first he interrupted her when she said they're not being properly trained, and she said they're shooting dogs, they're leaving small children. He said false. So then he's going to flip it and try to act like, oh, well, no, I'm talking about you saying they're not being properly trained. No, you just told that lady false about them leaving small kids. But then I'm going to read y'all that article because that happened here in Chicago. Well, Cicero, Illinois, which is right outside of Chicago.
Well, no, it's not false. Look it up. Don't just say false. I actually
abandoning small children. They turned the children over to HHS.
There were actually small children abandoned in a highway in a car in Cicero, Illinois.
How much more
specific would you like me to get?
They're not training ICE agents.
With examples of what is happening.
Of course they're training them.
Well, they're training them, then they're not learning this stuff. They're definitely violating human rights.
Then you see what he did there when she got Pacific and told him exactly what. Then he said, well, of course they're training them. Of course they're training them. You just said that her story was false. Then she gave you a Pacific story that you like, that's a little bit too much detail. She might be telling the truth. Let me go back and deflect around this and change the attention on, so you won't point out that I said that story was false.
Scott?
Well, I disagree with you.
Okay, well,
look, Scott, she had a specific example. It sounds like you were unfamiliar with it.
I'm not aware of her example. Here's what I know.
Okay, so
under
you don't
Joe Biden, they didn't enforce federal immigration law. Now we do. We're having hundreds of thousands of interactions.
My point is that
things will happen, but she said they are not training them. She said they're not training.
You see how he tried to get upset? She said they are not training them. That's you was just read because you said she was telling a story about them kids they left on the side of the road. Now you want to try to get upset to cause the dramatics towards that. She said they're not training them, so people won't remember what the hell you just said. You want to put that attention, that drama on that they're not training, like that was your point. That sir.
Do you think that trained
She was saying a specific example.
No,
her
first statement was, she said, quote, they're not training them.
You just acknowledge that you don't know what she was referring to.
I don't know what she's talking
scooping up
about.
U.S. citizens without giving them...
I disagree with the generalization they're scooping up U.S.
There's
citizens.
170 that have been scooped
Well, there's over
up.
500,000 illegal aliens that have been deported.
Okay, so yeah, let's go to the story about the Chicago with the kids that they left stranded on side the road that Scott said he had no idea about. This is taken from the Chicago Tribune, the local paper here, and hopefully it comes up. Heartbroken and devastated. Children of Cicero couple arrested by ICE and traffic stop asked for their release. On their youngest son, come on, don't do it. I'm going to see if I can. It may not let me read it, y'all, because I cannot see this. Now I had it all put up. Now I won't even. Let's see if I can go back to it. On their youngest son's 10th birthday, federal immigration agent detained a couple who immigrated from Mexico and who lived in Cicero for 18 years. Family and lawyer said Tuesday. U.S. Immigration and Custom Enforcement agent arrest Tejeco, 41, and Constantina Morales, 43, during a traffic stop Sunday at Cicero Avenue in Persian. Yeah, they like, you would not continue to read this paper without us. Let's see. Let's see if I can pull it up somewhere else. Okay, now the top that went away. Yeah, I'm trying to see if it would let me pull it up somewhere else, but now it's just buffering. Actually, both of those sites is just buffering, but y'all can see me here. Let me work in the background and see. Couple arrested by ICE. I think this should be it. Let's see. Okay, this is ABC Channel 7 News. I'm gonna see. I believe this is the story. There's so many stories. I have to find out if it's the right one. Okay. Cicero teen describes moment ICE agent detained parents left her siblings on side of the road.
Your glasses
So in Chicago,
can change the way you see the
where
world.
is this?
They can be.
In Chicago, a teenager is describing the moments United States Immigration and Custom agents took away her parents after a traffic stop. The 19-year-old was left on the roadside along with her siblings. According to the Department of Homeland Security, their parents are living in the U.S. without legal permission. They are now being held in separate detention centers facing deportation. Video of the instance quickly spread across social media. A teenage girl on the side of the road shielding her younger siblings as ICE arrested their parents and older brother after a traffic stop in September. We don't answer any question. You Reese, I may be pronounced, and I definitely pronouncing. You heard say we don't answer question. That's all I could say. Like no other words came out of my mouth. I was not prepared for that. The 19-year-old, her 22-year-old brother, Moses Jr., was speaking publicly for the first time about the viral moment. Let me see if it's here. Let me see if it's going to load. If not, I'll just keep reading it. And then I'll tell y'all. Oh, it's right here.
Holding together for her 12-year-old sister and her.
There it is. Hopefully they'll go back. Because if it don't say it.
This video quickly spread across social media. A teenage girl on the side of the road shielding her younglings as ICE agents arrest their parents and older brother after a traffic stop in September.
Your brother, is he a citizen?
We don't answer questions.
That's all I could say. Like, no other words came out of my mouth. I was not prepared for that.
19-year-old Judith and Cicero and her 22-year-old brother Moises are speaking publicly for the first time about that viral moment that they say turned their lives.
Man, the parents, they said, been here. The parents was undocumented, but
dress upside down.
My heart was just
Froze up here. And I don't know if y'all can still hear me. I'm trying to see if it's coming back. If it didn't, if it kicked back in, because now I finally see my picture. Can you please? Let's see. Let me see. Let me log back into this and see if y'all can hear me. Let me know in the comments whether or not y'all can hear me. It sounds like the sound. Yeah, it finally then came back on. Okay. Let me see. Let me go back to this video. I think it was around a minute. Let me know in the comments whether or not y'all can hear me. Back a little bit later. More to where it was at when everything kicked. Technical difficulties, y'all. So if y'all watching in the replay game, I believe that they will like a lot of the freezing and the stalling should cut out. But if not, y'all just fast forward a couple seconds up to where this at, because we only got like 2 minutes left up in watching this video. Then we're ending it for the day because we already talked about because we only got about 2 minutes left in this video because we already talked about the standards being lower for ICE agents, so they're the new DEI. And then we talked about this couple who was detained and they was pulled over at a traffic stop. They was with their oldest son and their 2 youngest kids. It was the 10-year-old birthday. He's that's the youngest son. They have a 12-year-old daughter, and then they had a adult son.
and they were going to the store and they was pulled over. Let's see. I think y'all can still hear me. Yeah, this video is not gonna load. But then they was pulled over. So the video went viral of the daughter, they have another adult daughter who came and to get her younger siblings. So the video went viral of them, the ICE agents asking her whether or not her parent, whether or not her brother is a U.S. citizen. And she was like, all she could think to say was that all she could think to say was that, I'm not going to answer any questions. So, like the kids was left. They took the parents and the older brother. The kids was left in the car, and they gave the 12-year-old, the ICE agents gave the 12-year-olds the car. She called her older sister to come pick her up, to come get them because she's 12. She can't drive. Why they gave the 12-year-old keys to the car? I don't know. I asked ICE. That's maybe that's in that civic exam that they didn't. I do not know, but that's the thing. Yeah, so I'm not gonna wait for this to start buffering and end again because this is blowing me out. So I'm gonna get on up out of here. I'm trying to hopefully wait till it come back so I can say my goodbyes to y'all because this is buffering. Don't forget to like the video, like the video, like the video. As we continue. So I want the kids had paperwork because they got here as babies and the parents did not, but their two younger siblings are U.S. citizens. As I was saying, y'all, I believe that I'm back now. This buffering is crazy. It's not even raining here. I don't know why the internet is acting like that. And this was no Boost Mobile internet before y'all get to talking crap. This is a Xfinity. So yeah, so as I was saying, I believe that the two older ones got here as young babies, but they have paperwork. The parents are undocumented, and the two oldest siblings got here as babies, but I believe they have paperwork. The parents are undocumented, and the two youngest does not have paperwork. So the two older ones, the two adult children, I said they don't know what's going to happen because if I'm not mistaken, the son is in college, and I believe like he was here for the weekend for his sibling birthday. So they're saying they don't know what's going to happen in life and whether or not they're going to be able to keep the kids or what happens next. So yeah, that's it for now, y'all. I will. Don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, because you're gonna be seeing me go live more often, and they're not gonna be scheduled, so you'll need to hit that notification button. And if you were part of the replay game, Also, like the video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Drop down in the comments. Let me know what y'all think about this story, and let me know what y'all want to talk about next, okay? Let me get out of here for this internet mess.